Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are looking at the G.I. Joe Tiger Force version of Roadblock, Tripwire, and his little friend McCloud. It's an anti-mine vehicle that goes along with Tripwire, so in a lot of regards it's almost like his little pet. So we will treat it as such, at least not, or in my little world, that's the way it seems. So I'm going to kind of cut the tape off here. We'll get a little unboxing. And, I'm not as familiar with Tripwire as I am with Roadblock. Sometimes I kind of go over a little bit extra with some of the characters. Roadblock was always an interesting character in the cartoon. I don't know as much in the comic book, although I think I do have a PDF version of some of the old comic books, so I think maybe that might be something we have to go through. But I do remember one kind of fun issue or episode or whatever, because here we have Roadblock, and he is, he's a big guy. I mean, let's face it, he's a big guy. He's a heavy gunner. And that's what we have here. I mean, he's with a M60. Actually, it looks like he's with a 50 cal from the looks of it. Yeah, that would be a 50 cal. Looking at the handles here, this is a 50. So he's walking around with a 50 cal. And we didn't look at the back of the box too well, but he was also a cook. So quite often he was also sitting there cooking for the Joes, doing like burgers, brats, and all the other fun stuff. So it's an interesting take that you have a small unit force, and they're also doing some of the kind of extra work or whatever on the side. They're cooking their own meals, and then people are complaining because we have Roadblock, which you didn't hear too many complaints about, but whenever they had I'm going to mess this up. I think it was Gun Ho, because he was Cajun and he loved gumbo and all that, and a lot of the other group weren't as happy with his gumbo as he was. So you see that as a small group, they have to kind of multitask as to what they're doing for taking care of things. And then we get introduced to having green shirts and everything else as far as for helping, as I'm going crunch here, because we want to get everything out of here so we get all the bad sounds done right away. But it adds a little extra flavor, and I really enjoy that extra flavor that they had kind of added in. That we have characters that they're helping out, but maybe it's not always in the funnest way for everybody else. They feel like they're being punished a little bit for having to eat somebody else's cooking, because I mean it happens in real life, right? You get one person or whatever and says, "Hey, great cook," everybody's happy, and then somebody else says, "Hey, I'll help out." It's like, "Oh no, I don't really want to eat today." So it gives a little bit of that. But we have a lot of crunchies here. So being Tiger Patrol, I just picked this up here today from my local Target. Hopefully you guys can hear me over all the crunches. I guess that is the only one nice view of the boxed version, is we don't have the plastic that goes crunch when I'm doing the videos. But I do agree with a lot of people where it's really nice that you get to see the figures themselves. So in that regards, it is really nice. So Gun Ho, our heavy weapons specialist, and then we have Tripwire, which is our anti anti-mine specialist. And then we have his drone, McLeod. So I don't know exactly when McLeod came in. This actually looks like a newer take on some of the anti-mine stuff. Now, I will admit, I was infantry. I was not anti-mine or anything else. The little bit of training I got for anti-mine was very basic, and we were doing a lot of stuff by hand. We knew of other methods to try and take care of minefields and everything else, but that was not something that we typically did ourselves. So keeping all of that in mind, it's just trying to put this stuff together. We got a nice cable here. It gets plugged in. Because we're supposed to be more or less self-efficient, because trying to get someone from like an anti-mine, for us it would be combat engineers that would come in and take care of some of that stuff. So you would have someone like Tripwire as a combat engineer that would come in and help try and fix things up. So now we do have one landmine here. This is an anti-tank mine. I do agree that it is kind of, we have a peg on the back here. So if I set this down, and I don't know how well you're going to see it, it does not sit flat. And then somebody else that I had seen have their review of this sits in here, and it is a little bit of a bugger to get out of here. I'm going to grab, I don't want my knife because I don't want to dig that out with the knife, but I do have a little screwdriver. So we're going to try and see how well I can get it out with the screwdriver. If I can maybe flick there's like a little square tab piece on the outside, so I'm trying to get that first before I really dig in, because I don't really want to mess this up. I am getting it a little bit, because it is kind of cockeyed in here, but I don't know if I can get underneath there. I am getting it some. But I really don't want to mess this up either. So I don't know if I can get my thumbnail, which I just kind of clipped. Okay, well, we got her. Okay, so looking underneath here, we do have a nice blue, kind of like a cushion, and we have for the peg to sit in there, so that way we can have our mine. But with it not being able to sit flat, that does take away a little bit from there. So, and of course we got this piece again. Now we've seen this before. Now this looks like it's a, alright, I guess I'm going to throw this on here. I don't know if this is meant to go on here. Yep, that's what it is. So that goes into here for a different trigger assembly. So if we want gun-ho, or not gun-ho, roadblock, I'm sorry, I'm messing all this up, ain't I? Alright, always put your thumb on the outside. Quite often with some of these, there's like little plates here. That's one of the things I learned, especially with the M60. You'll have like a feed plate on the outside for the ejection, and you always reached underneath and you pulled it back. And I very fondly remember being explained that, because you don't want to lose your thumb. But if he's going to carry it himself, he can put his hand up here, and he's going to have the trigger assembly, and he's going to sit here like that. Otherwise, if we're going to put it on the mount, we'll take that trigger assembly off, we will put this one on, and he's going to hold his hand on there, and on the top here you have a toggle switch that goes either way, and that's how we're going to fire it. So but Roadblock was always a prominent figure in the G.I. Joe line. So it's nice to be able to finally get them, and we have them in the Tiger Force. So I've really been trying to collect more of the Tiger Force than some of the other lines. But there again, with the stores that I have available, I don't get a huge selection. Some of them I'm actually buying off of Amazon and that, because that's the only way I can get them. Alright, I'm going to guess that this is going to be Roadblocks. Now this looks like a nice heavier style gun. Not quite a Desert Eagle, but something tells me it's probably going to be like a 10mm or something of a larger caliber. And that seems like it should fit nicely, and it does, into the holster. He does have a nice fanny pack on there. I don't know what that's going to be for. Let's see, smoke grenade, or maybe flashbang grenades, and he's got a couple small pouches there for something. And kind of going over the characters, you know, this it's our standard ankle setup that they've been doing. He's got the boots, so we have the swivel here, and he has the double knee joint, so we can do that, as well as our swivel here for the leg. He's a nice chunky figure. As you can see, we do have the joint here, so that way he can do his sit-ups, and he can do it really well, because he doesn't have any of the armor. That is one of the complaints I've kind of talked about with some of the other figures. Not so much as a complaint, just, you know, we get some of these other figures, and because they have armor on or whatever, you know, we have the joint here, but we have other things in the way, so it just doesn't work. And with his LBE, load-bearing equipment, that he's got, because that's what this is going to be considered, because he's got the web belt as well as our suspender straps. So this is a LBE. In comparison, when we look at Tripwire, I don't know if his helmet does come off, so you get to see his nice bald head. He had always had a bald head, keeping it nice and short. And look at him in comparison. I mean, he is taller than Tripwire here, so that is kind of nice to see, you know, as we keep everyone to scale. Now Tripwire has what would be LBV, load-bearing vest, but it also looks like it's got some got some armor into it, and it does look like on the sides here that this could be taken off if you want to take this off. So let's just kind of see what that's like. And of course, he has a very plain shirt on underneath. He has that nice joint here, but then when we have the armor on, his vest on, which I think keeping the vest on is going to be kind of a necessary thing for his specialty. So I will definitely be keeping it on here. That makes him look a little bit better here. His shoulder pauldrons there, and of course, you know, he's got the double elbows. So does Roadblock. He does have that second joint in here, so that's kind of nice. And his helmet on his head here, you know, it doesn't. No, I guess it might possibly come off. I'm not 100% certain. It looks like it's really on there, but I'm getting it off. Okay, and he does have a full head of hair from the looks of it. It does come off there. Alright, so if you want him to look like a standard person, we can do that. And it is kind of nice. He's got a nice, decent looking face. Actually, in comparison, you know, Roadblock looks like he's a little off. Maybe it's just because he's got that kind of like he's really upset, like a cobra had ruined his mealtime or something. I don't know, but he looks to me like he's just a little off in the face, but that's just me, I guess. Tripwire looks like he's okay. He's got more of a basic 45 looking sidearm. And of course, he comes into his own with his backpack and all that. Now this is Roadblock's backpack, because this is actually more of an ammo pack. And let's see, this is supposed to fit in here. one way or another. So we can just kind of slide that in there. So if he's carrying the 50 cal, we can then slide this in here. And with just a couple rounds sitting on the outside here, we're missing a little bit. But the only problem whenever we do this is usually we have it sitting like this, and it looks like, you know, he loaded it somewhere in between. So just saying. And if I do take this off, we do have a holding spot here, so we can actually put there. Yeah, that doesn't move, so that's probably going to be the way it'll have to go. Either that or else it'll have to be off to the side if you want that leg to be a little closer, but I just don't see how you're really getting that on there correctly. That leg has to be on the outside. So I'll have to go like this, and then we can put it onto Roadblock here. And you got to get through the LBE, and then we could have Roadblock carrying. Let's see here. If I can get his hand in there. And of course I had the wrong one on here, so I got to switch that out. So we got to change out his grip. So he's got more of the pistol handle. So you can try and fire this. Roadblock was never a small guy, and he had a big heart too. So, and I think that really came across in some of the G.I. Joe episodes, because the one where he's kind of sitting there with a lady, and you know, she's kind of high society, and they go on with the rest of the mission, and then they come back, and this is like some time later, and they're expecting her to be really upset, and she comes out and she's laughing and giggling and says he has got the best recipes that she's ever heard of, and she'd love a copy of his recipes. He's like, not a problem, we can do this. So, you know, it really shows G.I. Joe characters having heart. And I know that there are times where they do show some of the Cobra characters, especially in the DIC version of it, where they're aligned with Cobra, but they do at times have a big heart. And I think we've seen Zorana with that in a couple spots where she kind of has the likings for, shoot, I can't remember who the character is offhand, but I know that there is a Joe that she does kind of have the likings for, but, you know, it is what it is. And then we have the McCloud. And we haven't gone through Tripwire's backpack yet, but we have the McCloud. So we don't have a lot of articulation here. We do have for our pincer, so we can try and grab the Claymore here. So you can try and grab the Claymore. Of course, this doesn't pinch in or anything, so that, you know, it's just stuck. It won't move. But we do have the arm articulation there, so we can try and do a little bit. And it does have a handle, so we could actually have them carrying them if we really needed to. Or if we came up with a parachute, we could actually have them probably try and parachute in with them. Now, looking at Tripwire's backpack, we do have a couple pouches here, probably a couple devices to be used for some of the mines or whatever, maybe extra coils of wire for our Claymore, so we can do that. And the Claymore, in some regards, too bad it doesn't have legs, because it should have the legs there, but we don't have the legs. And we do have this on here, which to me would be the legs, but you know, I'm on my pool table, so it's not like I'm actually in the ground or anything. I don't know if I'd really want to put that on the ground. I think I'd be afraid to lose it. But I'm thinking about this as an adult and not as a kid, who would definitely want to run around the yard and hope that mom and dad don't run it over with their lawnmower or whatever. So we can put the mines back in here. They do go in pretty decent, I think. I don't really want to shove this in too hard, just as long as it gets in there, but I think I'm going to end up doing it anyways. So if I'm doing this, I'm going to try and keep this little tab out here. Alright, it's in. So hopefully I can use the screwdriver and I can try and get it out of there a little bit. So, and of course we have our mine detector right here. Let's try and get all this on him so we can see what he looks like, all fully outfitted. Oh, come on. It's like we're through the first part, but because I kind of goofed around here, you know, it looks all lined up. It just doesn't want to seem to... There we go. Now it's inside. Okay. And there's a part of me that says I wish there was a little bit better way that they had done the backpack, so that way they sat a little bit better on there. Not saying it's really bad, it's just there are times where it seems like it kind of comes off. And if you're collecting this stuff, I'm sure that this isn't anything new to you. And this is really rubbery. So, something to keep in mind. It is kind of rubbery here. And because I'm not used to using a mine detector, I'm not thinking exactly how this goes. The handle goes up, not underneath. And I'm trying to get it in his hand. And like I said, the handle's a little on the rubbery side, so trying to get it into his hand here is not the easiest here. So... there we go. Now I think we got her. Okay. I know that's just a stabilizing piece, but it doesn't seem like it's holding the greatest. I'm going to move Roadblock back here a little bit more, so we can have him trying to look down. He's got his headphones on there so he can hear it when it beeps, as he's kind of going back and forth. And I'll have his droid like it's hiding right behind him, like it doesn't want to get out there. Of course, it's a G.I. Joe droid, so it's probably going to be out here in the front, probably trying to say, hey, let me find it first. But either way, you know, they're nice figures. I was kind of looking for this. I was kind of happy that my local Target had it today, so I was able to quick pick it up. I think they're a nice addition to the whole Tiger Force. So if I get all my figures out, I think you'll notice I probably have more Tiger Force than anything else. Although I've been trying to get really like the Tiger Force and the Viper Patrol, which really kind of came out with the DIC. I don't want to say the name how it's actually said, because it sounds like it could be taken the wrong way and not very appropriate, but because I know YouTube, it gets a little antsy on some of that language, and I don't really want to upset YouTube on that. There is another articulation here, so we can actually move, so he can swing that arm all the way around here, so that's kind of nice. So, and of course, these are up here because I do remember this part, so you can actually go upstairs. So, all right, well, that's what we have today. Some nice figures, some good Joes. Now we have a cook to go with the rest of the group. Now all we need is a stove for him to cook with, or something. So, yeah, nice figures. They look good. Nice out of the box. The color scheme here is a little flashy, especially with having all the brown there. But you know, it's the way the Tiger Patrol is. Yeah, I'm happy I got them. They look good. So, with that, there's ideas for anyone that's looking into them, and we'll go from there. With that, hope you enjoy the series. It's always fun bringing these to you when I can get them. We'll see you in the next video.